Hey everyone, welcome back to MangaMinute. I'm thrilled to share my latest recap video with you. If you missed the previous one, no worries, just take a quick peek in the description below for the link. Now, let's dive right in and enjoy.
The dragon thrashed beneath the weight of the summoned panda, its claws scraping against the ground in fury. The rabbit doll, undeterred by the dragon's strength, launched a relentless series of punches. Despite their combined efforts, the dragon's power proved too much. With a swift movement, it used its claw to pin the rabbit down. Nearby, Annie's transformation was nothing short of remarkable. Once timid, she now exuded a fierce determination. Elizabeth had somehow helped her accept reality, unlocking a newfound strength within her. Meanwhile, the summoned snake doll joined the fray, its massive body coiling around the dragon in an attempt to restrain it. The owl doll, with its wings outstretched, created a whirlwind, adding to the chaos. Lu Ping, astonished by Annie's capabilities, marveled at her newfound prowess. His thoughts briefly wandered to the significance of her Jimji bloodline, but he was quickly brought back to the present by an unexpected turn of events. Hawthorne, using his incredible speed, managed to snatch Lu Ping's backpack, mocking him with a triumphant grin. Elizabeth's eyes narrowed at the sight of Hawthorne. She had assumed he was long gone, but here he was, alive and as insolent as ever. Lu Ping, desperate to retrieve his belongings, demanded the return of his bag, his voice echoing with frustration. Hawthorne, triumphantly clutching Lu Ping's backpack, felt a surge of elation as he declared the fruits of the realm to be his. With greedy hands, he quickly devoured the fruits from the backpack, unaware of their true power. Lu Ping, puzzled by Hawthorne's actions, questioned why he would choose to eat at such a critical moment. He had no idea of the fruit's significance. As Hawthorne finished the last of the fruits, a sudden transformation began. Power surged through his body, filling him with an unprecedented strength. His muscles expanded, his body becoming more formidable and imposing. The divine fruits had unlocked a new level of power within him, making him more villainous than ever before. Hawthorne reveled in his newfound strength, his laughter echoing through the battlefield as he felt the raw power coursing through his veins. Empowered by his newfound strength, felt invincible. With this power, he no longer feared the venerable members of the Sword Saint Guild. The dragon, recognizing the threat Hawthorne now posed, unleashed its golden dragon breath in a fierce attack. Yet, Hawthorne's speed had dramatically increased. He swiftly evaded the dragon's assault and reappeared in front of it in an instant. With a single, devastating thunder kick, he struck the dragon down effortlessly. With the dragon defeated, Hawthorne turned his attention to the Golden Grail, situated at the center of the treasury room. Grasping it, he couldn't help but marvel at the potential it held. Drinking deeply from the Grail, he felt another surge of power as his body underwent further transformation. Horns sprouted from his head, and wings unfurled from his back, marking his ultimate evolution into an evil, monstrous form. Hawthorne's expression grew grim as he absorbed the essence of the Demon King's sweet wine, feeling a profound understanding of his newfound power. Lu Ping, observing this alarming transformation, urged Elizabeth to act quickly. Annie, determined to protect Lu Ping, prepared to utilize her puppet magic. However, before she could complete her spell, Hawthorne attacked her with a speed that left her unable to react. Hawthorne, now a menacing figure, saw Annie as the first threat to eliminate. Lu Ping, stricken with disbelief and fear for Annie, rushed to her side. He urged Annie to hang on, confident that Elizabeth would save her. Yet, the situation grew increasingly dire as Hawthorne's dark power loomed over them all. Hawthorne, his expression grim and menacing, confronted Elizabeth. He knew she was concealing her true power, but he offered her two choices: willingly become his consort, return to her kingdom with him, and help him inherit everything, or be slowly tormented until she was a mere shell, then used as a bargaining chip to achieve his goals. His sinister laughter echoed through the room. Lu Ping, unable to contain his rage, shouted for Elizabeth to kill Hawthorne. But Hawthorne was quick to react, dashing towards Lu Ping with lethal intent. He aimed a vicious attack at Lu Ping, mocking him as a worthless servant. In the face of Hawthorne's assault, Luping instinctively raised his hand to block the attack. Remarkably, he managed to deflect Hawthorne's blow and repel him. With newfound resolve, Luping declared that he would no longer hide his true capabilities, ready to face the overwhelming threat that Hawthorne had become. Being pushed back, Hawthorne muttered in disbelief. He couldn't understand how his attack had been so effortlessly repelled. Inwardly, he pondered the situation, feeling as if all the damage from his strike had instantly rebounded. Misunderstanding the cause, he assumed it was Elizabeth's doing. Elizabeth, on the other hand, contemplated the events. Even with her powerful magic, she couldn't harm Luping, not even scratch him. It was thanks to the clothes he had created with his own hands. She realized that Hawthorne's deliberate attack on Luping was paving the way to his own destruction. Luping, like Hawthorne, misunderstood the situation, believing Elizabeth had protected him. He thought his service to Elizabeth, providing her with delicious food, ensured his safety. As long as he remained useful to her, she wouldn't let him die, no matter the danger. He saw himself as her rice bowl and felt secure in her protection. Hawthorne, frustrated and baffled, declared that he had only used less than half of his strength in the previous attack. With a grim expression, he taunted Elizabeth, accusing her of pride and forgetfulness. He believed she could have found joy with him but had chosen to reject his advances. As he dashed towards her, he promised a full-blown attack, daring her to block it if she could. However, before he could reach Elizabeth, something intervened, blocking his way and repelling him forcefully to the ground. Taken aback by the sudden counter, Hawthorne muttered in confusion, trying to comprehend what had just happened. With a calm demeanor, Elizabeth remarked if the dragon had finally awakened, and suddenly, the golden dragon that Hawthorne had defeated a while ago reappeared. Seeing the dragon, Hawthorne was taken aback. He couldn't believe his eyes and muttered in disbelief. It seemed impossible to him that the dragon he had supposedly killed was back. The true identity of the dragon was revealed as the Golden Dragon Queen, a one-star demon king. Luping, equally astonished, exclaimed to Elizabeth, questioning if what they were witnessing was real. Elizabeth explained that the space they were in wasn't real, suggesting that even though magic was not Luping's strong suit, he should have perceived the illusion. As the treasury room began to fade, the golden dragon communicated with Elizabeth in a demonic language. Elizabeth responded in kind, and tears slowly emerged from the dragon's eyes. The dragon then transformed into a human form and exclaimed with joy, recognizing Elizabeth as her master. The golden dragon, Amelia, had been waiting for Elizabeth's return. Elizabeth, noting Amelia's promotion to the Demon King level, expressed mild exasperation at her pet's naivety. Despite her annoyance, Elizabeth's affection for Amelia was evident. Amelia, hugging Elizabeth tightly, expressed how much she had missed her master during the 500 years of her absence. The reunion was filled with a mix of emotions, revealing the deep bond between them. Amelia's origins were extraordinary. She was born between heaven and earth, a rare being of immense potential. Elizabeth, who discovered her in the lost secret realm, used her magical power to hatch Amelia and gave her the name Amelia. Elizabeth took a personal interest in Amelia, guiding, training, and playing with her as she grew. As Amelia matured, she made a sacred oath to protect and serve Elizabeth as her master. She became Elizabeth's mount, aiding her in battles against vile creatures and carrying her through the world's tumultuous conflicts. Elizabeth's ambition to end the constant wars led her to pursue world domination, a goal that Amelia supported wholeheartedly. She took pride in witnessing her master's gradual ascent to power. However, over time, Elizabeth's once vibrant smile began to fade. Amelia, observing her master's increasing strength and her own perceived weakness, felt a growing sense of inadequacy. When Elizabeth chose to pull out the holy sword to seek out the legendary hero, Amelia was left to patrol the world in her stead. Unbeknownst to Amelia, Elizabeth's departure marked a turning point, and no news had emerged since. The uncertainty of Elizabeth's quest weighed heavily on Amelia, who was left grappling with her own limitations and the ever-present longing to be of greater help. In the tense atmosphere of the Grand Council Hall, the ministers gathered to address the pressing issues facing the realm. Aristotle, the minister of mankind, spoke with grave concern. 10 years had passed since Elizabeth's departure, and despite her formidable reputation, it had only managed to maintain a fragile stability. The rising crime rate and surging undercurrents of unrest were threatening to unravel the tenuous order. The Mogul minister of Orcs echoed Aristotle's concerns, reporting that several influential Orc chieftains had declared their separation from the tribe, causing further instability. Without Elizabeth's intervention, these factions were proving difficult to control. Heimerdinger, the minister of dwarves, urged a proactive approach. He emphasized that remaining idle would only allow the hidden dangers to fester, leading to greater damage when they inevitably surfaced. He proposed that each minister return to their respective regions to stabilize the situation while waiting for Elizabeth's return. Twyla, the minister of elves, turned to Jim, the minister of demons, seeking his insight. She inquired about the rumors of Elizabeth's potential issues with the legendary hero she had gone to find. Jim, confident in Elizabeth's unmatched power, dismissed the notion that anyone could threaten her. He declared his intention to search for Elizabeth personally, convinced of her strength and undeterred by doubts. Malfoy, aligning with Jim's determination, expressed his agreement to disperse and search for Elizabeth in his own way. As the ministers resolved to divide the regions and address the crises independently, Amelia remained detached from the political machinations. She took only half a glass of wine, reflecting on the past. Choosing not to involve herself in the council's decisions, she returned to the place where Elizabeth had first discovered her. There, she clung to the hope that her master would one day return. Year after year, Amelia waited in that sacred spot, her loyalty unwavering despite the passage of time. With tears welling in her eyes, Amelia greeted Elizabeth's return with overwhelming relief. She expressed her deep gratitude, her voice trembling with emotion. Elizabeth responded with a touch of humor, noting how Amelia's long wait had led her to mature from her playful nature to one focused on meditation. A crucial step toward reaching the Demon King level. Amelia, overwhelmed by the realization, misinterpreted Elizabeth's prolonged absence as a gesture meant to aid her growth. She believed that Elizabeth's departure was a deliberate effort to help her focus on her meditation and achieve the Demon King level. The thought that Elizabeth had sacrificed so much for her well-being filled Amelia with a profound sense of gratitude. Suddenly, Luping interrupted, shifting the focus from past matters to immediate concerns. He urgently directed Elizabeth to save Annie, who was in distress. Annie, in a weak voice, called out to Luping, expressing confusion about their whereabouts and showing concern that the apple Luping had given her was crushed. Luping reassured Annie, downplaying the issue of the damaged apple and focusing on her well-being. As Elizabeth listened to the exchange, she contemplated the situation, recognizing that everything was under Luping's control and that the groundwork had been meticulously laid out during the earlier events. As Elizabeth engaged with Luping, Amelia's frustration grew. She couldn't understand why her master, whom she had waited for so long, was now focusing on someone else and not acknowledging her presence. Her anger surged as she noticed Elizabeth's attention directed towards Luping, whom Amelia saw as a rival. In her fury, Amelia demanded to know who Luping was. Elizabeth's response that Luping was the legendary hero and had hosted her during her absence only fueled Amelia's rage. She was convinced that Luping was the one who had taken Elizabeth away and was now trying to win Elizabeth's favor. The thought that Luping might steal Elizabeth's heart from her after all these years ignited a burning desire in Amelia to confront and defeat him. Luping, unaware of Amelia's true feelings, introduced himself with a smile, but Amelia ignored him, consumed by her thoughts. She resolved that, by reaching the Demon King level and joining forces with Elizabeth, she could eliminate Luping. Determined to prove her strength, Amelia extended her hand towards him, intending to launch an attack. However, her assault was unexpectedly repelled with ease, leaving her shocked by the outcome. Her powerful strike, which could have destroyed a town, was deflected effortlessly, leading her to question the strength of her adversary. Luping, mistaking Amelia's gesture as an attempt at a handshake, apologized for not responding in time. He extended his hand in return, intending to initiate a proper greeting. Amelia, bewildered by the unexpected display of power and the ease with which she was repelled, realized that Lu Ping's presence was as commanding as Elizabeth's. Elizabeth, noticing the confusion and tension, clarified that Amelia was not just a friend but her mount. The revelation surprised Lu Ping, who had only just begun to understand the full extent of Amelia's relationship with Elizabeth. Amelia, still processing the information, was left grappling with her misinterpretations and the realization that Lu Ping was a formidable opponent, potentially even more powerful than she had anticipated. With a swift flick of her hand, Elizabeth transported everyone back to Lu Ping's house, a testament to her immense power and control. As they reappeared in the familiar surroundings, Elizabeth's voice resonated with authority, signaling the end of the day's events. Amelia, observing Elizabeth's effortless display of power, was awestruck. She marveled at how Elizabeth had performed an extraordinary feat with ease, something Amelia herself could only achieve at the peak of the Demon King realm. The contrast between Elizabeth's effortless mastery and Amelia's own struggles highlighted Elizabeth's unparalleled strength and reinforced her reverence. Lu Ping, having returned to his home, expressed surprise at the ease with which the teleportation had been accomplished. The seamless transition from the other location to his house left him both impressed and curious about the true extent of Elizabeth's abilities. Annie, disoriented from the sudden teleportation, stumbled and then fainted from the disorienting effects. Her sudden collapse prompted Elizabeth to request that Lu Ping attend to her, ensuring she was given a place to rest. As the situation settled, Elizabeth prepared to address Amelia, signaling that there were important matters yet to be discussed. Her demeanor remained focused and resolute, ready to continue their conversation and provide guidance, while Amelia's thoughts swirled with admiration and determination to match her master's legendary status. As Elizabeth and Amelia settled into the space of Lu Ping's house, Amelia's excitement was palpable. Eager to prove her devotion and readiness to serve, Amelia promptly offered her full assistance to Elizabeth, urging her to issue any orders without hesitation. Elizabeth, maintaining a serious demeanor, broached a new topic. She asked Amelia if she had heard of the Demon Realm's Dark Guild. Despite having been isolated for 500 years, Amelia had kept abreast of some news and recalled that the guild was established by Malfoy, the Prince of Mankind. This connection piqued her interest, and she eagerly awaited Elizabeth's instructions, ready to act on any new developments. Elizabeth confirmed that she was aware of Malfoy and, in turn, informed Amelia of a troubling revelation. The Dark Guild had been implicated in numerous killings, all under the false pretense of resurrecting Elizabeth. This deceitful act had displeased Elizabeth greatly, and it was clear she had plans to address the situation. With this newfound knowledge, Amelia's resolve hardened. She was prepared to take on any task or challenge, driven by her unwavering loyalty and the need to support her master in addressing the threat posed by the Dark Guild. Elizabeth's displeasure with the guild signified a crucial moment, and Amelia was ready to contribute to resolving the issue and proving her worth. Amelia, initially taken aback by the mention of resurrecting Elizabeth, was deeply concerned. The concept seemed both baffling and disrespectful to her master. With a strong sense of duty, she eagerly awaited Elizabeth's directive, determined to act on it immediately. Elizabeth, maintaining a serious tone, instructed Amelia to eradicate the Dark Guild completely while keeping their operation and the existence of her own whereabouts a secret. She reassured Amelia that upon completing this task, she would be granted freedom, with the possibility of pursuing her desires. This promise filled Amelia with anticipation as she set off to fulfill her master's command. As Amelia exited Lu Ping's house, she was unexpectedly ambushed by Wang Kai. Her reflexes were swift, allowing her to evade the worst of the attack and avoid severe injury. Recognizing the threat's severity, Amelia assessed Wang Kai as a formidable opponent, potentially as powerful as a demon sovereign, and resolved to eliminate this danger to protect her master. Wang Kai, a robotic entity, responded to the attack with an escalation in its defense systems, launching a relentless barrage of rockets towards Amelia. Despite her swift deployment of Dragon King's wings to block the incoming rockets, she was overwhelmed by the sheer volume and force of the assault. The situation quickly became dire as Wang Kai increased its arsenal and continued its attack. Just as Wang Kai prepared to escalate its attack, Elizabeth intervened. Her commanding presence and decisive action halted Wang Kai's assault, and she ordered the robot to cease its attack on Amelia. Wang Kai complied, adding Amelia to its white list and ceasing hostilities. As Amelia, bruised and battered, reflected on the confrontation, she muttered to herself about the overwhelming and frightening nature of the situation. Despite her master's intervention, the encounter with Wang Kai left her shaken, underscoring the formidable and unsettling nature of the place she had returned to. Lu Ping, with a gesture of genuine concern, handed a glass of orange juice to Annie. As she took a sip, a wave of rejuvenation seemed to wash over her. The citrusy taste of the juice was more than just refreshing. It carried with it a subtle but potent infusion of magic. Annie could almost feel the vibrant energy of the fruit coursing through her veins, invigorating her body. The rich, magical essence contained within each pulp seemed to activate dormant nerve cells, clearing away the fatigue that had clouded her mind. The sensation was unlike anything she had experienced before, an advanced divine magic that was both rare and exhilarating. Her senses sharpened and her mind cleared with newfound clarity. In this state of heightened awareness, a vivid memory surfaced within her thoughts. In the memory, a bloodied nun, her face etched with grim determination, spoke urgently. The nun's voice echoed with a piercing intensity. "I am you, and you are me. Stop suppressing your true self." As the memory faded, Annie was left with a profound sense of self-realization and a deeper understanding of her own powers. Lu Ping lounged comfortably on a sofa, murmuring with a hint of contentment, appreciating the familiar ease of home. The plush cushions enveloped him, and he sighed with relief, reflecting that perhaps venturing out on adventures wasn't quite to his liking. Suddenly, Elizabeth burst into the room, her presence commanding immediate attention. Her gaze locked onto Annie, and she proclaimed with an authoritative tone, informing her that it seemed her memories had returned. Elizabeth reminded Annie of the ancient oath sworn by her ancestors to remain loyal to her, and that the awakening of Annie's bloodline would also revive the power of that oath. As Elizabeth's words sank in, Annie experienced another vivid flashback. The memory brought to light her ancestors' oath, prompting her to question Elizabeth with a mix of awe and trepidation. She was eager to confirm whether Elizabeth was indeed the legendary demon queen mentioned in the ancient records. Elizabeth's response was firm and unequivocal. She was indeed the ruler of the world, Elizabeth. This revelation stunned Annie, who then recalled ancient records that spoke of Elizabeth's demise alongside a hero. This led her to wonder about Lu Ping's true identity, given the implications. Lu Ping, slightly sheepish, admitted that he was, in fact, the hero in question. Annie's realization took a dramatic turn as she theorized that the hero and the demon queen had once fought fiercely for the title of the strongest. Her imaginative scenario suggested that, amid their battle, they had developed feelings for each other, ultimately forsaking their rivalry to live together in seclusion for 500 years. Elizabeth, though her expression was one of mild amusement, confirmed that Annie's imaginative tale wasn't far off. Lu Ping quickly interjected, advising Annie to refrain from speaking too freely, lest she offend Elizabeth. Elizabeth's voice carried a stern edge as she revealed the depths of Annie's lineage. She expressed disappointment and disdain for Annie's current state, lamenting how the once proud demon super warrior bloodline had seemingly fallen so low. The revelation shocked Lu Ping, who had not known Annie's true origins, learning for the first time that she was from the demon clan. Elizabeth continued with a grave tone, recounting a significant event from 600 years prior. She described a child named Jim, who had awakened his powerful bloodline. His magic caused his eyes to glow red, and his combat skills were formidable. However, as his power grew uncontrollably, so did his violence. He became consumed by bloodlust, wreaking havoc across Elizabeth's northern territories, killing over 100 of her elite men. Driven by ambition, he even dared to challenge Elizabeth directly at her castle. Elizabeth, however, swiftly defeated him and sealed his violent nature. As a result, Jim vowed eternal loyalty to her, a vow that had been inherited by subsequent generations, including Annie. Annie's reaction was one of profound shock and distress. Her voice trembled as she confessed her ignorance of these truths. She had spent her entire life in a church orphanage, surrounded by nuns, brothers, and sisters, who she believed to be her true family. Elizabeth's revelation cut deeper, as she disclosed that during a berserk state, Annie had killed everyone in the orphanage. Unable to confront the harsh reality of her actions, Annie had subconsciously fabricated a comforting illusion, convincing herself that she was merely waiting for the nuns to return. The realization left Annie visibly shaken, her voice breaking as she mourned the loss of her imagined family. Her entire sense of self and history was unraveling, leaving her grappling with the weight of her true heritage and the atrocities she had unwittingly committed. Confusion etched across his face. Leping interjected, recalling their recent encounter at the market where they had seen Annie's supposed brothers and sisters. Elizabeth, undeterred, decided to reveal the truth. Using her magic, she projected a series of Annie's memories for all to see. The images depicted scenes of a little boy calling out for Annie to play, another boy expressing joy at seeing her, and a little girl anxiously pleading for Annie to return quickly. As the memories concluded, Elizabeth laid bare the harsh reality. She revealed that the so-called siblings were not real. They were illusions sustained by Annie's magic. This magic, Elizabeth explained, had kept her at the magician level, and her bloodline had been awakened in an attempt to protect these illusions from the Dark Apostles. However, in her berserk state, Annie had inadvertently killed these imagined family members, a truth she had been desperately avoiding. The revelation shattered Annie's composure. She clutched her head in agony, the weight of the truth overwhelming her. Her mental anguish reached a breaking point as she screamed in pain, unable to reconcile the reality with her memories. Seeing her in such distress, Elizabeth flicked her finger with a decisive motion, causing Annie to faint instantly. As Annie collapsed, Leping rushed to her side, his concern evident as he checked on her condition. With a composed demeanor, Elizabeth addressed Leping, acknowledging his desire to help but cautioning him that Annie's fainting was only a temporary respite. Elizabeth warned that if Annie lost control again, the entire town could be at risk. Leping, understanding the gravity of the situation, agreed to find a solution. He resolved to address the issue, determined to prevent any further harm and to help Annie regain control of her tumultuous powers.